hopped through this zone, and we took out the Wolf's Camp, which is a world boss zone with 3 werewolves. That kicked their butt the last time, but we did it this time, I think, with only one other person. We also went by and cleared the Cambrai Hills Dolmen, and it was kind of neat because when that popped out, we actually got one of the Daedric general hunters, because the Molag Bal's torturers popped out and we had to kill them. So we actually got one achievement there and got one step closer to getting the Molag Bal executioner. There was a delve called the Mines of Kuras that we finished. I don't remember this one. I don't think there was anything super special. Just a mine with Red Rook bandits in it.
Yep.
I think I got a blue sword out of it, which I contemplated using for about 10 minutes before I broke it. That was about it. So, like, the next thing we moved on to was we had to move into the Hag Fen, because we were kind of moving up that direction anyway. If you look on the map of Glenumbra, you'll see we're moving north from Aldcroft, and we kind of took care of, we kind of snuck over to Glenumbra Moors, because that was our next section where we had to go following the main storyline of Glenumbra. But then we kind of backtracked and cleared out that one section, and we actually started in Hag Fen as well. And I know all the people were getting kidnapped, and we had to save them from those awful, what are they called? The Raven women?
The Hag Ravens.
Hag Ravens, yes.
I can't stand them. They're so creepy. Skyrim did them best, though. They looked the creepiest in Skyrim.
Well, obviously, they were great in Skyrim. But it's kind of neat, because they had a fun mechanic in the final boss fight when you had to slay the Hag Fen mother, where she was said to be a powerful sorceress who drained the essence of the people they were fighting. So what you actually had to do was go up and power this amulet. You killed other Hag Ravens, filled their life force within the amulet. And whenever she was doing her special ability, you actually had to trigger using the amulet so that she wouldn't kill you, or otherwise she just ripped into you. It was great. And actually, I think the Hag Ravens were women who are, I guess they're converted into Hag Raven. They're not like they're an actual race, I don't believe. And T.S. Fango can probably tell me if I'm incorrect, but if I remember correctly, females are taken by the Hag Ravens and are actually converted into Hag Ravens through sorcery and black magic.
Yes.
So, Hero says he'd like a Hag Raven mount. That's kind of gross. All that kind of reminds me of his like trailer park wife or something for a Hag Raven mount. I'm sorry. So yeah, kind of creepy. Anyway, so we went through and I want to say anything about the Hag Fen before we move on? 'Cause I think that was all I had for that.
I cannot stand the Hag Ravens. I am very glad we got to kill the Hag Raven mother, and I actually love the weird women.
The weirds?
Yes.
Yeah. You would like those. The only like you're a Breton, so you're like, I would be one of the weird witches if you couldn't be an Argonian.
Oh, I would love. I really need them to come out with race changes, because I need to be an Argonian. It is a need now. I need it for sustenance.
It sounds like I'm gonna get a lizard wife here soon.
You will.
You gotta change your name to like Stands in Red Circles or something funny.
Oh, yeah. Like that stands in fire, but there actually was a Argonian mage who was playing with a fireball. His name is like plays with fire. I love their names.
No, my favorite one was Heals When Convenient.
Heals when convenient.
Man, then I'm gonna need, if I have to race change, if I can, I'm gonna need a new Thais related Argonian name.
Twit Queen. That would be someone with twits.
That would be amazing.
Pink with power.
Pink with power.
Pink with power is your new name. All right, so the next thing we kind of moved on to, which we kind of found it while we were playing around, was the Tomb of the Lost Kings. And we got our old friend, Lady Laurent and Stibbins.
Oh,
poor
man.
Stibbins. Poor Stibbins. So we had to go in and we had to save Lady Laurent from this tomb because she's trying to get I guess it was a ancient crown or something like that. She's after a relic. But when we get inside, apparently the reason why they were put in there, this Tomb of Lost Kings is not really a special place for kings. It's where you bury the kings you wish you never had. This is kind of like where Aerys Targaryen would be in the Game of Thrones world. Like, yeah, he was our king, but he was bat crap crazy, and we don't want him with everyone else. So, like, all the spirits are bound within this place, and there's, like, a custodian or something like that who is bound, and he's like, what we want you to do is we want you to take the crown,
The cursed
crown, and give it to him, and whoever touches it will be trapped in here, and I'll be released.
And we agreed that we did not want to do that because we don't know why he's trapped here. We don't know who this guy is. For all we know, he could be a mass murderer of Argonian children. And, you know, I'm not okay with that.
Oh, well, if I would have known that, I'd have helped him.
Wow. You would kill the scaly Argonian children.
Yes.
That is just evil.
I would take them, and I would make, like, little key rings out of them.
Oh my gosh. I think I need to move away from you right now. So anyway, he's telling us to get the cursed crown instead of the jeweled crown, but we don't know this guy, and you know, the Lady Rant doesn't necessarily seem all that mean, so we don't want to do that. So we take the jeweled crown, and we have the crown, and we're leaving. We escape. When we get outside, we're outside, and we say to the lady, you know, here we have the crown. And she goes, okay, put it down, put it right here on my desk. And then she looks at it while she's sipping a glass of wine. And then she goes, Stibbins, would you please take this and put it in my tent? So Stibbins is the one who goes over, picks it up, and takes it into her tent. Which means that if we had chosen the cursed crown, because for some reason it didn't affect us, Stibbins, poor Stibbins, would have been the one who would have been trapped.
Well, he's trapped everywhere else. I mean, you see what happens to him later on.
He keeps getting the crappy end of the stick, doesn't he?
Stibbins. Anyway, so then we started moving on from the Tomb of Lost Kings, and we actually moved back up, and we were leading the effort to retake Camlorn. And this is actually where we get to face off against Foul Chew. But the most important thing I think we found in here was we found the most epic, amazing mutton chops ever.
No.
And I'm actually growing a beard, but I think I'm going to shave it all and keep mutton chops.
I had to put a twit out there about the world's worst mutton chops. They looked like just bushy badgers attached to his face.
Well, your husband's soon going to have bushy
horrible.
badgers next to his face, so
Oh my god.
it's going to be great.
I'm going to be shaving your face in your sleep. They were not epic.
They were
TS Fangirl.
They were epic mutton chops.
No.
They really were. So yeah, so we kind of went in there, and I got to tell you what. The Foul Chew fight on the
was
VR,
hard.
it was difficult. We were doing it, and I mean, for a fight, it probably lasted 3 or 4 minutes, and that's long for a storyline boss fight. We were dodging, we were healing. It was difficult.
I think I died because, of course, I did not want to heal me.
Well, I got to heal myself.
Oh, that's
There's
right.
priority.
You have to heal yourself first. That's right.
That's
So I died, and he had to run around in circles for a couple seconds while I rezzed, and then after I rezzed, I stood there laughing at him.
TS Fangirl will think I look sexy with mutton chops.
Oh.
I just have to stop killing Argonians. So that fight was actually really fun, and I actually liked taking on Camlorn. Now, we also met somebody in there who he shows up throughout the rest of the quest line in Glenumbra, and he's hilarious. You remember what his name was?
I don't remember what his name was.
Aw.
Adelaide?
I don't remember.
O'Day. Wasn't it O-D-I-E?
I don't remember, but all I know is he is the funniest ladies' man ever, and he is awesome.
Oh,
The
that
knight.
guy. No, I began with a B.
Yeah, I don't know. He was
Briston?
he was the guard captain's son or something like that. But he's just hilarious, and he follows you along throughout the rest of the storyline. He's pretty awesome. Now, as we're advancing north, the one other guy we kind of stumbled across was we found a guy who was trying to make his way I guess he said to Daggerfall, but he got turned around and Wolf stole all his stuff. But what was really funny is when you help him at the end, his wife's like, "Oh, my husband, he's so sweet, but he can't handle himself for anything."
Yes.
Darian, yeah, that's what it is. It's Darian. TS Fangirl comes to save the day. Darian is who he was. He's hilarious. I love him.
He kept hitting on my character, and I adored it. I'm actually sad that I turned him down to meet him at the pub for a drink. I had agreed to that.
What is it with you and hitting on all the in-game men? First you have, what's his face? What is his face?
Oh, the thief?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't think of what his name is now.
You had him, and then you had the guy who looks like Dario Naharis in Glenumbra, the captain of the Daggers or something like that.
And then that buff Argonian.
The buff Argonian. Yeah.
Jakarn.
Jakarn.
I love TES Fangirl.
Anyway, so after we help him, his wife is like, "Oh, my husband's, he's just so useless. He can't do it. He's so sweet, though. I'm taking him to my grandmother's house or something like that so he can take care of him because they love him, too." And she's like, "I'm so glad you're safe." He's like, "Yes, wife, I'm safe." He's like all sad. And as he's walking away, she's like, "Don't forget to say thank you to the nice strangers who helped you." And he's like, "Okay, thanks, strangers." As he walks away, he mutters on his thanks for nothing. He's trying to run away from his wife. That was hilarious. Thanks for nothing.
I might not be able to continue story time because I have Jakarn on the brain.
Jakarn on the brain. Okay. Well, we furthered the very last part where a lot of it takes place at the Lion Guard redoubt, where we have to help the Lion Guard hold the line against Angolf and all of his dead. Now that kind of leads us all over the zone a little bit, where we have to go to Merovek's Folly. We have to fight back undead. And we actually, when we were up in that area, we actually duoed the Kingsguard Dolmen by ourselves. Ace is like, "We're not going to be able to do it." I'm like, "No, we'll be able to do it. We can do it. We can do it." We actually did manage to take care of it. I think we only wiped once.
I'm the one who died.
You died. Well, we wiped once because, like Deltia, I got stuck where I couldn't move. Like, I couldn't do anything. All I could do was dodge roll. Like, nothing. I couldn't move. I couldn't target. I couldn't do anything. That was the first time.
You didn't die, remember? You did not die.
No, I died.
Wait, did you?
Yeah, because I couldn't move. Eventually, I dodge rolled into a wall and couldn't roll anywhere else. So, yeah, I eventually died. After that bug was gone, we were actually able to duo it ourselves. It was difficult, but it was a lot of fun. So, yeah, we went through that, and we actually cleared that out and saved all the people at the Lion's Guard redoubt. And was pushing forward through the Dwenarth runes, where we had to stop the secret meeting between the two people.
The Red Rook Bandits and the
Bloodthorns. Yes, yeah. And that was really cool. Like, you had to kind of impersonate, like, we had to steal the one guy's clothes. Like, he gave us his clothes.
They had captured a Red Rook spy? What was bandit? And he was sitting there all tied up, and he's saying, "I'll give you all the information you want. Just please save my family. They're holding my family." And at first, I chose, "Give me the information."
And then
I intimidated. "Give me the information first, then I'll go save your family." And it was really, really funny, because after you say that, with my option, you strip him right there. You just take all the guy's clothes and you're told to just go kill somebody. But I chose the other option, so he got to save the family. And then when he got back, the guy, willingly offered up his clothes. No, not me. I stripped him.
That's how she is with all the men in this game. She's like a sex offender for the NPCs in this game.
I am a Breton sex offender. Yep.
So we forced our way through that, and what was kind of funny is one of the people we found was a Bloodthorn who was haunted by his ancestors for desecrating the dead. It's funny because, like, he's so scared to do it, he has us do it, and his grandfather's spirit comes up and goes, "Wait, you did it, not my worthless grandson?" It's just funny. I like that. Finally, we finished off the storyline in that area by going and taking the fight to Angolf, the grave singer himself, in the great graveyard of Cath Bedraud or something like Bedraud.
Actually, there's something that I want to address from the chat. Kilted Piper. I had actually got my very first trophy. I double-clicked it disappeared. What happens is, when it disappears, it gets added to your achievement collectibles. So when you pull up your achievement log, you can see all the trophies that you've gathered. So it doesn't disappear for good, you don't have it physically any longer.
Definitely. I kind of am sad that they don't do something special.
That's why I double-clicked on it initially.
Yeah, I would like them if they were trophies like you get from the questing, even though we need a... Please give us a UI storage that it just sits on our character that we can use that doesn't tie to our bank. You know, that would be great. But yeah, so we actually killed Angolf, and that was a pretty fun fight. That's where I was running around with my greatsword, just saying "Follow the trail of bodies." So it was fun. It was fun. The last thing we did was we had to clear out Cross, which was taken over by Red Rook bandits, and Epic Mutton Chops was there. He was there trying to help out, and he was there. I'm like, hey, look who it is! It's Epic Mutton Chops.
He wound up everywhere we went, and I just wanted to shave his face.
It was awesome. It was great.
Those bushy badgers attached to his cheeks.
It was awesome. But do you have anything else to say about what we have been doing this week before we end out our tales? I know we had a lot, but we really pushed forward and cleared out Glenumbra, and we're getting ready to start. What's the next zone? It's not Rivenspire.
North.
It's Stormhaven. So yeah. So that's the end of our tales for this week. Next week, you'll probably be able to hear our adventures in Stormhaven. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next section, which is the dramatic reading of a book from the Elder Scrolls series. This week, we'll be continuing our Divines and Deities set with the book Monomyth, the Myth of... What is that, Arbus? Yes, Arbus. All right, Thais, go for it.
Subtitled The Sigic Compensation, Mythic Arbus, attempt by Artaeum apologists to explain the basics of Aldmari religion to the Emperor. It quietly avoided any blame or bias against the Lorkhan concept, which was still held in esteem by the Cyrodiils as Shazar, the missing sibling of the Divines. Despite this, the Sigices still give a nice summary of the Elder view, and it will serve our purposes here. This version comes from the archives of the Imperial Seminary, from the handwritten notes of an unknown scribe. Mythic Arbus exists, and it has existed from time without measure, as a fanciful, unnatural realm. Arbus is used to connotate the imperceptible penumbra, the gray center between the is not of Anu and Padme. It contains the multitude realms of Aetherius and Oblivion, as well as other, less structured forms. The magical beings of Mythic Arbus live for a long time, and have complex narrative lines, creating the patterns of myth. These are spirits made from bits of immortal polarity. The first of these was Akatosh the Time Dragon, whose formation made it easier for other spirits to structure themselves. Gods and demons form and reform and procreate. Finally, the magical beings of Mythic Arbus told the ultimate story, that of their own death. For some, this was an artistic transfiguration into the concrete, non-magical substance of the world. For others, this was a war in which all were slain, their bodies becoming the substance of the world. For yet others, this was a romantic marriage and parenthood, with the parent spirits naturally having to die and giving way to the succeeding mortal races. The agent of this communal decision was Lorkhan, who most early myths vilify as a trickster or deceiver. More sympathetic versions of this story point out Lorkhan as being the reason the mortal plane exists at all. The magical beings created the races of the mortal Arbus in their own image, either consciously as artists and craftsmen, or as the fecund rotting matter out of which the mortals sprung forth, or in a variety of other analogical senses. The magical beings then, having died, became the Et Ada. The Et Ada are the things perceived and revered by the mortals as gods, spirits, or geniuses of Urbis. Through their deaths, these magical beings separated themselves in nature from other magical beings of the unnatural realms. The Daedra were created at this time also, being spirits and gods more attuned to oblivion or the realm closer to the void of Padme. This act is the dawn of the mythic, merithic era. It has been perceived by the earliest mortals many different ways, either as a joyous second creation or, especially by the elves, as a painful fracturing from the divine. The originator of the event is always Lorkhan.
I love Lorkhan. He's like my favorite deity, period. But I tend to side more with the human aspect of Lorkhan. But I love him. He's fantastic. So, let's see here. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next section, which, of course, is going to be our guild corner. Deltia, did you have anything you want to say about your guild?
Well, just doing Dragonstar Arena, we're building a 4-man team, a couple of them for PvP. We're looking for a Nightblade range and a Sork Blinker. If you don't know what that is, ask me for details in-game at Deltia.
Excellent. Awesome. All right, well, if anyone's interested in joining the Friends and Family Guild of Tales of Tamriel podcast, you can contact either myself, it's Aggelos, that's Aggelos, or Tear Eater, Teareatr in-game for an invite. This guild's just a place for fans of the show can meet and mingle with the host of Tales of Tamriel, and every once in a while we go out and do some events with the host. Of course, you know, all of us are here. Thais, myself, Deltia, we're all in that one. If you want to chat with us and don't really want to be in any others, you can join us there. It's kind of like our center hub. Next off, Dragon Guard, which is kind of our PvE extension from our guildmate Kipster. He started his own PvE progression guild called the Dragon Guard. He's currently accepting any VR ranked characters with a serious intent towards endgame PvE content. If you do have an interest and you want to join up, you can contact Kipster in-game, that's KYPSTER, and you can apply there. Last of my knowledge for these updates, they still need healers more than any other spec. Other specs will, of course, be accepted, but healers are definitely in need, especially with the upcoming of Dragonstar Arena, the new Serpent Trial. We're excited to get that stuff going, and it'll be good times. All right. That ends our guild corner. We're going to go ahead and move into our emails section. We had no new iTunes reviews this week. Kind of sad about that. But we did have a couple emails. So, Thais, why don't you go ahead and read us the first one?
Okay, from Nate. Hey guys, listening to you talk about daily dungeons and rewards. I agree with all your points, but I wondered if you'd thought about how daily dungeons relate to lore and consistency. Specifically, who is leaving chests full of items every day at the end of a dungeon? I know it's a daft gripe, and it's something that affects us for as long as there have been games. I've always wondered who left all the health packs around Tomb Raider. Maybe the same person has set up all the puzzles to be solved? But for a game as meticulous with maintaining consistency as Elder Scrolls, I've always felt uncomfortable when changes to the world or additions to areas aren't explained. I like to think my character would be smart enough to ask why Camlorn just suddenly expanded, etc.
Well, I'm going to say this right off the bat. First off, they do kind of explain the lore as to why Camlorn expanded. Apparently, this section was blocked off by storyline-wise the Iron Orc group and other people. That's why it was blocked off. And we actually, because we beat that first area, we're able to push forward. They explain that a little bit. As for dungeon rewards and daily quests, this is something that I personally believe that you just have to ignore. For the consistency of gameplay, I'm all a fan of story. Like, story needs to be consistent. I hate when people retcon lore and stuff like that. But certain things just need to be ignored, I guess, in order to have great gameplay. Story is amazing. I'm not going to lie. Having a great story is essential, especially RPGs, but eventually you got to hit the point of where does story matter more than gameplay? I mean, you want people to repeat playing these games, so having a great story that people only play once, does that keep people in the game? Not really. But having daily quests that people want to do, yes, it may be, I guess, I don't want to say lore breaking, but just kind of out of the norm. But it's a game, so you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt. Thais, what do you think? Anything?
I really feel that when it comes to dailies, you can't really nitpick it all that much. There's no way to really write in who left that chest there.
I mean, like, if you go into a bandit cave, bandits did it, and obviously, if you wipe out the bandits, and you go back and again, I mean, it's like, well, you know, there they are. But that's the same as going through and killing a boss. You killed a boss once. Does that mean you never go back and do the dungeon again? Because you have to kill him again. I mean, eventually you just have to make a mental change in your mind that my character has killed this person, so he is done my version of the world. You go back and kill him for loot, and that's when you're just playing a game. Deltia, what about you?
Well, I mean, I think you said it best. There needs to be a combination of gameplay and, you know, the world environment. You can't just do stuff once. It's an MMO. It's endless content. You have to make it so it's repeatable. But, you know, you can't have the best of both worlds, unfortunately. But, you know, as long as you do it once and move on, if that's what you want to do. But there's going to be things that happen that, you know, I don't like and you don't like. But it's for the best of the game, the way I see it.
Right. I mean, repeatable stuff, that's just you playing the game. That's where I always say whenever I've done an achievement where I've killed it, that's the first time I've killed it. And if you want to think roleplay-wise, that's the time you killed it. You know, any other times you go into it, you know, you just have to separate yourself out from a roleplay-wise or make the choice of not playing it. But this isn't a single-player game, so there has to be respawns. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, because that's how the game is. Skyrim, you go and you clear a cave, it stays cleared. But then you never get to do anything in it again. The only way you can play it again is restarting the game. But that's how the game's designed. This is meant to be a persistent world that always has stuff for everyone to do. You can meet up with your friends. As long as it doesn't change lore directly, I think there's just things you can do to overlook game mechanics that are there for our enjoyment. Because I don't know about you, but clearing a dungeon once wouldn't be fun for me, and it never being able to go, because then the world would be dead to me. Like, as soon as I cleared everything, like, I finished everything in the zone, I've killed everything, well, now the zone's empty because I killed everything. You know, I would have no reason to ever go back ever for anything. And that eventually, Deltia, let's just use you for instance, is like when you rush through the character stuff, how long did it take you to hit VR, finish your first zone? Like the full first zone?
You talking about the very first zone in the game, Oradon, or?
No. The Almar Dominion zone. Like when you finish the main storyline, how long did it take you?
Oh, I mean, I don't even hours. I mean, 10 hours, but I was stinking around at that time.
Yeah, so 10 hours of gameplay is, most people would argue, is not a very good game. If it only takes you 10 hours to beat, that's not a good time investment for the money you've spent. There needs to be a certain level of replayability for games. So, I mean, I love lore. Some things, especially with MMOs, you just have to kind of avert your eyes to if you really have to figure out why lore happened. I mean, make up your own backstory. You killed off the bandits. Well, now another bandit took over the cave, you know? I don't know. But yeah, there's just certain things you have to do. As long as they don't change the lore itself, like, you know, oh, the vines never really existed. As long as they keep the main mythos, I'm fine with an MMO. So, my thoughts. We have one more email.
Okay. From Adam. Hey, guys.
This is our friend Estelden, by the way.
Oh, okay. He told me that before I said his name.
That's okay.
Okay. Hey, guys. Fun show as always. Just going to throw down my comments in hopefully easily digestible paragraphs. Camlorn, my big issue with that is the artificial requirement for a group for quests. If you are enough to duo things in Camlorn, why force you to try to find a third or fourth person just to be allowed to do the quest? Dungeons and loot. There are lots of random drop sets in the game, especially green jewelry. Why not have the vet dungeons end bosses have a chance of dropping blue or purple versions of some of those drop sets? They can be binds on pickup to avoid mass selling. For example, the unassailable set, as far as I am aware, are V10 max in green. Why not have better versions in these dungeons? After all, unlike other gear, you cannot upgrade them yourself. Cheesing it with weapon animation canceling. You can cancel melee weapon light heavy attacks to weave in between abilities just like with stabs. For example, hold down your heavy attack with the two-handed and start pressing your wrecking blow, while still holding down your heavy attack, and you will see that pretty much as soon as the weapon is pulled back, you start wrecking blow, yet still do your full heavy attack damage. Alternatively, just left click for a light attack right before using a skill. Don't wait for the animation, just click and move onto the skill and you will find you do the light attack damage. I hate the mechanic, but it can be done with everything. It is at least cheese shared by all. Tanking. I like the ESO style, though as an MMO tank for 12 years, I am not too great at adapting. Neither am I. I am still determined to aggro as many as possible and make my healer sweat. The general approach is that I take 6 or 7, including the key targets. The others deal with the rest. Though Thais does have a point, she shouldn't need to run all over the place trying to stay alive. While the tank cannot aggro everything, there are 2 other players to help ensure any threat to the healer is swiftly dealt with. Sword Saint 2.0. No need to really give any thoughts on that, I already commented on the site. Tales of Tamriel meetup. You should definitely try to do one. You will have a lot of fun. Certainly over here in the UK, the wife and I have a guild old friends meetup every year, guildies from previous games included. And we have people fly over from Holland, Norway, and Sweden to crash at our house for a few days. It is a tight fit, but awesome. As for what I did this week, the wife and I ran around duoing some delves in Camlorn. That was a lot of fun. Some of those were really nasty. Though, mainly what we did was run a lot of VR1 to 10 dungeons, messing around trying to get achievements, and also playtesting and tinkering with my latest Templar build. The dungeon achievement hunting started when we got a few of the Death Challenge achievements by accident when inadvertently doing fights the hard way. We run blindly into fights with no idea what the mechanics are and just pull our way through. Anyway, I think that's enough. It is a long mail as always. I know, I type way too much, so don't worry about reading it out on the podcast. Just thought I would throw in my 2 cents as usual. Keep on patting, guys. As Steldian.
See? I read it anyway. All right, let's go ahead and digest this by chapters here. And one other thing, I actually forgot. I'm going to start reading comments, time permitted, of course, that we get on the website. I wanted to do it for this week, but we had big emails, and honestly, I just forgot to do it. So, going forward, we will be reading comments from the site as well, if they're worthy of being read, I guess I should say. So let's go ahead and hit up his email. Camlorn, the artificial requirement to group for quest. I don't know, I think the big problem with the grouping is with Camlorn is just because if third and fourth person are not on the same spot, you can go help them because of phasing. So I mean, that's a problem which is probably going to be addressed in later patches. I'm assuming we're all on the same page with that, Thais and Deltia.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Dungeons and loot. This is something that's kind of interesting, with jewelry and stuff. I haven't even thought about this for my final build, what kind of jewelry I'm gonna use, because I haven't even really looked up many of the sets. But jewelry is kind of something I think rewards, especially dungeon rewards, would be nice to have. Way of maybe here's an idea of being able to daily quest and getting upgrade tokens or something like that you can use to upgrade your jewelry. might be an idea. Something to make people go back and do dungeons, just to, But maybe they might make a jewelry crafting profession at some point in the future. Who knows? Deltia, what do you think? Dungeons and loot, how it's kind of the jewelry's mostly green.
Yeah, I mean, there's really only one way to get super high-end jewelry. That's to do trials. I mean, there needs to be other way to get the best gear in the game besides 12-man content. Hopefully, Dragonstar Arena will replace that.
Yeah, kind of excited for Dragonstar Arena, especially with all those special item sets and item enchantments. Man, I hope they have something good for like Carve or something like that. Or I would really love a great sword executioner, like a special execution or something. Okay, next up, cheesing it. Weapon animation canceling. I think we're all in the same thing. Like, I've actually been playing with the weapon canceling since I've read this email. That's when I've been playing with it all this week, and I know now it is possible. It's still not fun. And I think all of us are in the impression of weapon animation canceling should be removed. You shouldn't be able to cancel out of it. Deltia, do you agree with us? I know Thais and I both agree with that.
Of course. I mean, it's just... Yeah, it's
speed up the animations and don't allow us to cancel them.
Yeah, it's cheesy.
Yeah. Because, obviously, I think personally the main problem with animation canceling is it's not all equal. Yes, you can do it, but...
Yeah, Destro staff wins, that's why. The
game
would be a lot more balanced.
Yeah, if you remove it, then maybe there'd be a little bit different. But see, I can animation cancel with my two-handed greatsword, but it's clunky. I mean, animation canceling is clunky for Destro staff, but even less so. It's just easier to do it with Destro staff than it is with any other weapon. Each one can, but it's harder and harder and harder to do it, and it's just not there. Just remove canceling. Don't let us do it. Speed up animation so it's not as noticeable, and happy day. Happy day. Tanking, they liking the ESO style. I mean, I think we all like the way it is, except for Thais. She likes to be able to hold everything. I like it because it's more realistic. As a tank, your main objective is to take out the biggest threat, to hold their attention, it's not even so much holding attention as kind of getting in the way so they can't hurt the other people. That's how it always was, so. Sword Saint 2.0, he did comment. If you're interested in what he wrote, you should go check it out. He actually did have a very nice write-up and made some points for different abilities, and you should check it out. Tales of Tamriel meetup definitely would be fun, and I think we should start planning for one.
We have plenty of room.
Indeed, it's fun. We should think of something.
Yes.
Anyway, so that's I guess the end of that email. So with that being said, it's time for us to move on to our final thoughts, and it's my saddest part of the show. So I want to go ahead to each one of my co-hosts and make sure you tell people where they can follow you outside and inside the game, etc., etc. So Thais, go ahead and tell us your final thoughts for the episode.
Amazing episode. As always.
Any more? Are you going to be a little something more?
I don't know. I enjoyed it. What more do you want me to say?
Okay. Where can they find you?
It was an awesome episode. I can't wait for next week's. It's just amazing. You can find me in-game at Tear Eater, TEAREATER. You can find me on Twitter at TwitQueenThais.
Mm-hmm.
Should I spell it?
I think most people will be able to find it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. All right, and Deltia.
Oh, a good episode. Yeah, good changes. There's some controversy, but overall I think we're still excited about the game. Final thought is Templars do not suck. And you can find me at Deltia's Gaming on Twitter, Deltia's Gaming on YouTube, and my website, deltiasgaming.com. If you want to do a video, YouTube, or anything, want to play in the guild, just holler at me in game or email at Deltia or info@deltiasgaming. Be happy to hang out with you.
Excellent. I want to thank my co-host for joining me this evening, as always. I love doing the podcast. I had so much fun. I'm excited for Star Arena mostly, but I'm curious about... I haven't talked to anyone who's been doing the trial, because I think everyone just jumped into Dragonstar Arena first. So I'm kind of hoping that they took a little bit of forethought for what they did with the old trials and really kind of did something different with this one, maybe made it harder. But I'm happy to hear that the Dragonstar Arena is pretty much tear out your hair hard. I actually have been talking to Kipster during the episode. He's been messaging me, and he was saying, yeah, he was streaming trials, and he got up to round 5. So I'm like, well, is it still difficult? And his response was, I'm pulling out my hair. So that excites me. I like it. I like it a lot. I want to be able to cry when I'm done playing. I that's what I like. That level of difficulty.
It's not the crying, it's the satisfaction when you get done. That's
I like the crying, because then when you finally do beat it, you are ecstatic. You just run up walls kind of ecstatic.
Yeah, you want to tell everyone at work. You want to tell everyone at work, I beat this. They're like, what?
What are you talking? Exactly. You just go up to random people in the street and start shaking them, going, I beat it. Yes, and they're like, I don't know you. Don't touch me.
Bro.
But yeah, it's great. So I'm excited for that, and I think it's going to be really great. Yeah. So I want to thank everyone for listening to this podcast. If you wish to help support the podcast, feel free to donate via the PayPal link on our website. If you wish to contact us with questions, comments, criticisms, the website for our show is talesoftamriel.com, or you can email the show at podcast@talesoftamriel.com. You can follow the show on Twitter, Tales of Tamriel, Facebook at facebook.com/Tales of Tamriel podcast. Also, feel free to rate and subscribe to us via iTunes and on YouTube at youtube.com/Tales of Tamriel. That helps us out a lot. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. Good night, everybody.